Hey, tuko riadha, my friend. Athletics, life beyond Tokyo. Is there life beyond Tokyo? Of course, there's life beyond Tokyo. It was an event for 9 days. We enjoyed it. We were treated to the best of the best. Records were broken. 9 records were broken in that setting, in that Tokyo event. 9 indeed, from McLogan, Lilian Odira, Faith Cherotich, Modo Duplatis, you can go on and on. Records were smashed. Of the 9, 3 were Kenyan. I just mentioned them. If you didn't hear me, Lilian Odira, Faith Cherotich in steeplechase, and of course, Emmanuel Wanyonyi 141.86. Those records were smashed in style. We enjoyed it. I think it was a great show. It was, of course, way, way, way entertaining and more celebratory than the post-COVID. That has to be a reference point every time so that we appreciate life. If you're not aware of COVID, then you're not aware of life. It took a lot of lives, and some of us are celebrating that we still are here to enjoy life as it is. Beautiful life indeed. In Tukoriada, my friend, trust me, life continues because post-COVID, we are alive, right? And in athletics, we celebrate each moment, each record, each win, and each loss. It's worth celebrating. If there's no loss, there's no win. I say that, and I believe in that. There has to be a loss for there to be a win. Yeah, it sounds kind of a cliche, but it's not. It's the truth. Where there's a loser, there's a winner. Lilian Odira. Do you know Lilian Odira? She's the record holder right now, world champion coming out of Tokyo. Underrated, underprojected, underdog. Nobody was really having a conversation about our possibilities. I gave a hint in the semis, but I didn't know who she was when it came down to having to go against Mary Moraa, Sarah Moraa, Kelly Atchison, Hunter Bell, Georgia from Britain. It was a good field. In fact, there was even the lady from Switzerland who came in this championship. Why am I forgetting people's names today? Maybe it's because I'm forgetful a little bit. But anyway, it was a good field, but the winner is Lilian Odira. A woman at 26, a mother of 2, grew up in Migori, very close to Tanzania border, 1 hour away or 2 from where I went to school in Kamagambo. Give it a shout out to Kamagambo alumni and classmates. What about that? So Migori was a place where she grew up. Very late bloomer in athletics. I don't think she believed in herself when she was growing up there. Went to school in Kisi Town, Bosongo Ime, some school right there where she found a little bit of traction in her talent. Because I think one of the things I enjoy most about some of these not conservative institutions, like where I grew up, where sports was seen as sacrilegious, whereby you are told, hey, you cannot be entertaining sports, it spoils your mind. Your spiritual, it's going to erode your spirituality. I remember some of these teachers telling us all those nonsense. But anyway, it's good to see, most of the schools in Kenya really encourage physical activities. Unfortunately, not in the city. Unfortunately, not in Nairobi, where I don't think they encourage a lot of athletics. But if you go to the rural areas of Kenya, after school events, running, volleyball, soccer, football, and athletics, track and field is part of the component or curriculum in the schools, and they encourage a lot. And she was encouraged, and she found her way all the way to Nairobi, where she joined the prison system. Not the prison as a prisoner. She's an official, an officer. She works in the prison system of Kenya. Kenya prisons. Why do we have to call it Kenya prisons? Kind of sounds funny. Even to say that. Kenya, I don't hear America prisons. Oh, I guess there is. Anyway, one of the things I admire about Kenya, talking of Kenya prisons and the military, the police, back in my days, they had the Kenya Power, Kenya Post Office, Kenya Pipeline, Kenya Post Authority, is that employees were encouraged. If you had talent, you could go participate, train during some times of the day. In fact, it was almost every day. They allow these athletes, these possible, potential, great runners to go train. They facilitated that. I remember there used to be a Kenya Power bus that picked us from a certain space, and we go train in Kenya. What do you call Steamer House? There's a club there, a track. So it is very accommodating to employees. I don't think I've seen in America. America is colleges. I don't know whether they have those in Kenya in the universities, but I'm giving you a perspective to understand Lilian Odira's journey. So as she joins the prison system as an employee there, she finds more support and more encouragement and more coaching. And that's how her career booms later. Of course, COVID kind of disrupts all that for everybody. And she's one of those who are those slow down. And maybe it's good for her, because looking at it right now, you look back, could she have gotten here if it wasn't for that disruption? Of course, she becomes too a mother. She's a mother of 2 boys. And to balance that act of being a mother, being a partner, being an employee, being an athlete, you can see how to see her even accomplish what she's done this year is incredible. It's an incredible journey. And I tell you what, we are talking of Kenya here, balancing act of all that stuff, juggling it all, and being able to be a world champion as we speak, coming out of Tokyo. That's an incredible journey. I just gave you a snapshot. And I think we have to mention too that there's some coaches that are not really mentioned in these accomplishments of athletes. I've mentioned Patrick Sang, who has been incredible behind the scenes, power and mentor and a coach to people like Eliud Kipchoge, Faith Kipyegon, and I think Beatrice Chebet at the moment. There's incredible coaches. Jacinta Mwiriguri, I think, is a coach. Not I think, I know is a coach behind the success of Lilian Odira. And what I find out from digging into some of these articles I've been reading is that these are the beautiful people that we don't hear much. And let me just mention the name again of the coach, Jacinta Muraguri. In the early 2024, she started working with Lilian Odira in Kasarani National Stadium in Nairobi. And one of the things I'm enjoying these days is to know what behind the scenes of these Kenyan athletes, because those are the support that I think make these women and men successful. And she, of course, I see a breakdown of her philosophy. She's into nutrition, recovery, massage, and sleep and rest. So this is a new paradigm we are looking at in Kenya, to hear that they've incorporated science, nutrition, and to see a mother of 2 coming out of motherhood and maternity and taking care of our boys and coming a long way thus far. And by the way, let me just drop something here that you guys might not be aware. When you talk of Kenya, you talk of Rift Valley. You talk of, that is almost like the region. People say, oh, Rift Valley is where we have all the athletes that have come out and dominated the world, which is true. Don't get me wrong. That's the story. That is the narrative. People have gone and done studies about Kenya, particularly in Rift Valley, and how it's become predominantly a place whereby most of the athletes hail from, or they grow up. The culture, the nutrition, the altitude, and the culture that has nurtured these talents. But Kenya is more complex than that. We tend to be very narrow a little bit. As much as that could be true, we can be very kind of generalistic. We can be very, it's almost become a cliche. Oh, they are from the Kalenjin tribe, which I belong, and we've done very well. But that's not the whole picture of how Kenya is. Kenya is diverse. We have about 50 tribes. And in those 50 tribes, there's a lot of talent. And I don't think we can claim, people cannot claim to own anything in Kenya, as much as it might look that way statistically. Or, we read stories. So I'm talking of Lilian coming from the Luo tribe. And Luo tribe are not really the powerhouse in athletics. We've had a few people. I remember the Ouko. Ouko was in the 4x4. I think he was a 400-meter runner. We've had diverse group of athletes in the past that are from different tribes. And I think when you talk of tribe in Kenya, it becomes almost like a scapegoating over the whole. You kind of, it's too simplistic. And it brings, of course, to make some people proud, which is okay, don't get me wrong. But it doesn't tell the whole story of Kenya complexity and the nuances and how diverse Kenya is. If you look at, for instance, in 1968 Olympics, Mexico, if I tell you the names of these athletes that were part of the success of the relay team, 4x4 men, I'll give you Daniel Rudisha, the father of David Rudisha, who is a world record holder. Ezekiah Nyamau, I would say this, maybe without mentioning being very, creating controversy. I think he's from Kisii. Naftali Bone, and then Charles Asati. So you have a mixed bag of different tribes, but they make the Kenyan team. I think what I'm advocating here is I want the Kenyan narrative. Yeah, there could be some complexities. There's some tribe narrative here and there that can make you say, "Oh, it's from my tribe." It's okay, but that's not the whole story of why Kenya is successful. It's very successful because of the Lilian Odira, who is from the Luo and wins the gold medal in this World Championship. Mary Morad, the defending world champion, she's from the Kisii. If you want to break it down to tribal, you can tell that it's not just the Kalenjins. As good as the Unisum of the past, we've had, what's her name, Chafet Chepkoskei of the past. They've given us a good history. But the Kenya we are living in today is more diverse than that. And even the global stage. Let me ask you this. Did you know Croatia, the French, was going to win the 10K gold medal and bronze in 5K? No, you didn't. So don't even pretend you know. Why is it that the East African countries have been anything but horrible this year in the World Championship? It's because the world is diverse. It's all about talent. It's all about coaching. And it's all about the mind. What does the mind want to do on a big stage? And I think the reason why I'm saying is because if you look at Lilian Odira's story, if you look at the support, if you look at the hardly mentioned coaches in Kenya, mostly in the women, I think Janet is a coach, Chepkoskei, I think she's a coach, but you don't hear much about them. And I think for me, I'll give a voice to people like this because we have to amplify. We have to say the whole story. The story of this World Championship is the Lilian Odira, who has come a long way from maybe where we don't expect athletes to be coming from, Migori, all the way to Tokyo. And even she was in the semis in Paris 2024 Olympics. And to see her stand at the top of the podium as the winner and the championship record holder right now speaks of the beauty of Kenya and the diversity of the country. And Lilian Odira deserves that gold. She should wear it proudly. And I don't mind dedicating this one to Lilian Odira, the woman, the mother, and the worker in those systems of Kenya that can be improved on. The prison system. I hope and I understand too that she's found what you call child care unit, and she's facilitating that and supporting some of those youth camps within an area of Rongai. I've been to Rongai, I think, right? Is it by Ngong Hills? Maybe you go through that. Anyway, great day to celebrate excellence. And this one in Tukoriada was Lilian Odira, the 2025 World Champion, gold medalist, record holder, a woman, a great hero of the country of Kenya. What about that for Tukoriada? A perspective, a lap of honor, if I may say, to Lilian Odira. It was a delight to research into the life of a great athlete, Lilian Odira. Tukoriada, my friend, always gives you a perspective. Talk to you later. Mahasalemi.